Walters is back for another season as the official bar of the Nats Chat podcast. Walters is the best spot to go before and after home games, located at the southeast corner of Capitol and N Streets, right across the street from the ballpark.
A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
Bases loaded, the pitch. Swing to ground ball sharply hit. Fielded by Stott. Flips to Turner. Throw to first. High. Harper has it. Comes down on the bag for the out. In from third to score is Brady House. So they get a double play. 4-6-3. The Nationals get a run. It's now the Phillies 3 and the Nationals 1. And a runner at third and 2 out. No RBI with a double play for Wood. Pitch on the way, swung on, drilled in the air to deep right center field. Bader going back, way back, going, and gone. Goodbye into the Phillies bullpen. A pinch hit home run for Luis Garcia Jr. His first this year, the third of his career. And his second home run in as many games, his 11th of the year. So the Nationals get to within 1. It's now 3-2, and Josh Bell will be the batter. Here's the pitch. Swinging a bouncing ball to short. Big hop for Turner. Backhands his throw in time to get Cruz. And the game is over. And the Phillies hold on and win it here this afternoon. They take the season series 8-5. They win 4 of the 6 played here at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. So on the one hand, it is disappointing that the Nats ended up losing 2 out of 3 games at the National League East leading Philadelphia Phillies, considering that the Nats won Game 1 of the series. On the other hand, the Nats on Sunday afternoon concluded a 5-5 stretch against the top 2 teams in the NL East. All things considered, that's not bad. 3-4 against the Phillies and 2-1 against the New York Mets. But yes, Sunday afternoon was the second consecutive loss for the Nats at the Phillies. 3-2 was the final. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now 53-77. Worst record in the NL East, second worst record in the NL. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website you can check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. Another bad outing for Jake Irvin. Another very good outing for the Nats bullpen. Another high strikeout game for James Wood. We have a lot to chew on in terms of what went down in this game. But what do you think, Mark? If you're the Nats, do you look at this and say, man, we only come away with a win in this series off winning Game 1. We could have easily won at least one of the final 2 games, didn't do that? Or do you think it's more, hey, 5-5 over a 10-game stretch against the Phillies and Mets? Given the state of the Nats this season, that's a pretty good run for them.
I think they're feeling fairly good about themselves right now. They know they're playing better. They know they're playing very competitive baseball. They know that in this series in particular, they were really close to pulling out all 3 because of some late drama. They gave themselves a chance every single time in the 8th and the 9th inning, and they obviously got it done on Friday night, didn't get it done Saturday or Sunday. But I think internally they kind of look at this stretch as a good run for them. And I think what it really boils down to is they know that with 3/5 of their rotation, when they're on the mound, Gore, Cavalli, and Lord, they've got a great chance to win. They're 7-2. The last 9 games started by those 3. When the other 2 guys start, Irvin and Parker, they're now 1-7. And that's the difference more than anything. And I understand that you can look at this and say they only gave up 3 runs in the game. More offense would have been the difference. But in the broader scope right now, I think 3 out of every 5 days, they feel really good about their chances. The other 2, they're just hoping they might have a chance. But I think when they look at what they did against these opponents, they actually feel pretty good about themselves. And I think they feel like they're closer than a lot of people give them credit for.
Yeah, and you look at the pitching matchup for this game, it was not ideal, right? Ranger Suarez, who's having a very good season for the Phillies, against Jake Irvin, who is having a not-so-good season for the Nationals. The Nats in this game, just the 2 runs, just 5 hits, just 2 walks, 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, struck out 12 times. The 5 hits, a home run, a double, and 3 singles. And this was a game in which the Nats got worked by the opposing starting pitcher, Ranger Suarez. 7 scoreless innings, 11 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, that was sheer domination by him. The Nats, again, did do some damage against the Phillies bullpen. It was good to see that, but ultimately not enough damage. And a big spot for James Wood in which he did not come through. James Wood in this game as the Nats starting DH and number 1 batter, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Now, to his credit, he had 2 hits in each of the first 2 games of this series, had a double and a single in each of the first 2 games of this series. But as we discussed on the last installment of the podcast, the strikeouts are out of control right now. Wood in this game, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, and he grounded into a killer double play. Top of the 8th, bases loaded, nobody out. Nats down 3-0. He grounds into a run-scoring 4-6-3 double play. The Nats in that moment clearly had the Phillies bullpen on the ropes. The best hitter on the team is at the plate. Nobody's out. I mean, this is a prime opportunity for a run-scoring hit, hopefully a run-scoring extra base hit. And that double play happened. And I said to you before we started taping, you kind of felt like when that happened, this probably was going to be a Nats loss.
Yeah, that was the big one. And even if C.J. Abrams had come through after him, maybe they get one more run across. But they had him on the ropes there, for sure. Alvarado was all over the place. They get him out of the game, bases loaded, and in theory, it's your best hitters coming up. And at the moment, they may not be their best hitters. This was a weird series for James Wood. He wound up 4 for 12 with 7 strikeouts. So what that means is when he put the bat on the ball, when he made contact, he got hits out of him. The other 7 plate appearances he had were all strikeouts. He did not have a batted ball for an out until that double play. That was the first and only time all weekend he got the bat on the ball and didn't end up with a hit out of it. So a weird series. He is striking out a ton, as we've discussed. We asked him about it some after the game. He feels like it's mostly a product of him chasing more than anything. I still feel like he's taking a lot of third strikes as well. That at bat in particular felt like a moment that he could not just come through in that spot for them, but really turn his season back around. I mean, he's done a lot of good things here lately. He's not in the kind of funk that he was for a good part of July and the first part of August, but he's still not all the way back. And the strikeout total, as we've discussed, is a huge part of that. And then to see him actually hit into an out in that huge spot, that was definitely a demoralizing moment in this game.
Yeah, it was tough to see. And, you look at Woods' OPS for this regular season, it's at 831. For context purposes, that was all the way up at 958 as of games through July 3rd. But how about this regarding his month of August? 6 walks versus 35 strikeouts. That is a jarring ratio. 6 walks, 35 strikeouts. The slump that he's in is a plate discipline slump. I think that's what you say now. Like when he's getting hits, he's getting extra base hits and he's doing well. But the plate discipline has evaporated. And that's so puzzling because his plate discipline had been elite. And all of a sudden, it's bad. And it's hard to recall this happening to any Nationals player within a season. You go from having elite plate discipline to plate discipline that's quite bad. And 6 walks, 35 strikeouts. Man, that is not the James Wood who we know.
Right. Usually you either have that or you don't, and there's not a lot of variation. You may slump, but it's because you're not making contact or because you're making weak contact. As you said, the contact has been good. He's been hitting the ball hard. That's what he wasn't doing for a long time. And to me, like I said, I think it falls into 2 categories. I think we're seeing both ends of the spectrum here. Yes, he is chasing pitches out of the zone, no question, but he's also taking a lot of strikes. And I don't know why that is. The pitch recognition, maybe something in his head. I think maybe there are times that he's looking for something off speed and gets surprised by a fastball, looking for the fastball, can't adjust to the off speed. I think it's certainly something more in his head than anything. I don't think it's about mechanics. Yes, he does strike out swinging sometimes, but it's bad decisions to swing. It's not the mechanics of the swing, I don't think. So again, he's too good. You know he's going to eventually be fine coming out of it, but it has been pretty striking. And I don't know that I've seen a guy go through as bad a slump as he did, sort of get out of it in one respect, but not get out of it in the other respect. Usually you get it back, you get it all back. And in this case, he's got part of it back, but he's still missing a key part of his game. His plate discipline has been elite from the moment he got here to the big leagues. He is a guy you expect to draw a lot of walks. I wonder if we're going to see him in the leadoff spot a lot longer. It was working there for a while. Maybe that has screwed up his head a little bit in some ways. Maybe we will see him back down in the order in the second or third spot against the Yankees the next few nights.
A very weird last 2 months for James Wood. A very strange post-All-Star break portion of the season for Wood so far. Luis Garcia Jr. on Sunday afternoon homered for a second consecutive game. Was good to see that. Garcia in the Nats 1-run ninth, a pinch, 1-out solo homer to center field to cut the Nats deficit to 3-2. The homer going a projected 414 feet per StatCast. But, beyond the Garcia homer and the James Wood run-scoring double play, there was so little going on with the Nats in this game. Jacob Young was your multi-hit Nat for the game. He is the team's starting center fielder and number 9 batter. 2 for 2 with a double, a single, and a walk. So good job by Jacob Young, but otherwise just very little happening for the Nats in this game. The lineup, very interestingly, had Riley Adams up in the number 3 spot. We've talked about how well he and Drew Millis have been doing in the timeshare at catcher, but man, how about that Adams in that number 3 spot for this game?
First time in his major league career he's done that. He hit 4th a couple of times here in the last week or so. And I'll tell you, just based on who they had in the lineup today, it made sense to me. I think he was most deserving of the guys who were playing. Facing a lefty, been swinging the good bat lately, has swung a power bat. And the hope was get him up there with Wood and Abrams on base. Now, it didn't happen because the top 2 guys didn't get on base at all. But it's further evidence of what Riley Adams has done here over not just a few weeks, but really over several months since the playing time increased. And he's feeling better about it himself. He's hitting the ball to the opposite field a lot more. He's drawing walks. A guy who I think had 1 walk through the first half of the season, and he's now got like 12 over his last 100 or so plate appearances. So showing more patience, hitting the ball with more authority. This is a guy who, I was reminded of this when I was looking up his numbers. He ended last season at AAA. They sent him down, and Drew Millis finished the season as the number 2 catcher. And we didn't know going into the offseason what was going to happen. Would they non-tender him or not? They brought him back, was batting .097 in June. And then since then, and it coincides, yes, with more playing time, he has been a very productive catcher. He and Drew Millis combined have been among the most productive catching tandems in the major leagues now for a good 2 months.
It's so funny. As last season went on, what ended up happening was Adams and Millis got alternated between one guy being at the major league level, one guy being at AAA Rochester. And it was like back and forth, back and forth. And here we are now this season. Both guys are catching for the Nats and doing well. Like you would have never thought that with the way each guy was dealt with as last season went on. Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation. Labor Day is coming. Summer is winding down in the Washington, D.C. area. Your air conditioning is working overtime, just trying to keep your house and you cool and comfortable. What can you do to make a difference? Well, you can replace your old or builder-grade windows with windows from Window Nation. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the following deal that you're about to hear about here on the Nats Chat podcast. This month only, you can schedule a consult and get 50% off all window styles. Plus, you could even get your windows with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing checking in. Got a break in between team meetings? Sounds like the perfect time for some fast-paced fun at Chumba Casino. No waiting, just instant action to keep you going. So next time you need a pick-me-up, fire it up and take a spin. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba!
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
He kicks and delivers. Swing and a line drive center field. Jacob Young to his left. Dives! He made the catch. Skids to a stop. Pops up and fires it back in. And back to first goes Trey Turner. Well, he made a really good running catch to the wall. Left center, just to the left of dead center on Schwarber. That was an even better play with a diving catch in right center to rob Harper of extra bases. And with Turner running on 3-2, he just saved a run because Turner would have scored if that ball gets by Jacob Young.
I did want to mention this regarding Ranger Suarez. So the Phillies, as of games through Saturday, had 3 of the top 9 pitchers in the National League in terms of WAR per Baseball Reference for this regular season. Christopher Sanchez, number 1, 6.3. Zach Wheeler, number 3, 5.3. Ranger Suarez, number 9, 3.5. And it reminded me of what I think is one of the most unbelievable statistical achievements for the Nats since the franchise came here. 2017, each of the top 3 pitchers in the NL in terms of Baseball Reference WAR were Nats pitchers. Max Scherzer, number 1 at 7.2. Gio Gonzalez, number 2, 6.5. Steven Strasburg, number 3 at 6.3. I bring this up not to sadden people, but just to sort of marvel at that. A singular team has the 3 top pitchers in the league for an entire regular season in Baseball Reference WAR. I don't know if we'll see that again in our lifetimes. Like, that is such a remarkable thing that the Nats did. The Phillies have an outside chance of doing that this season. So, it came to mind in seeing Suarez on Sunday afternoon. But boy, Scherzer, Gonzalez, Strasburg in 2017, that probably from a regular season standpoint was the peak of the Nats' great starting pitching.
Yeah, that was them at their very best. Remember, they also had Tanner Roark, who was pretty solid as the number 4 guy at that point. That was probably Gio's best season with them. And they went into that postseason series against the Cubs. And a lot of people thought this was the team, that everybody was clicking. They were in a good place at that point. And obviously it didn't happen once again. But it was built behind pitching. And the Phillies have kind of taken that model. What they have right now, there are some similarities to what the Nats did during their run. They do value starting pitching, and in addition to just star players on offense all over the board. Now, the interesting thing with the Phillies now, Zach Wheeler, done for the year and done for a good part of next year as well with thoracic outlet surgery. They're going to have to get it from someone else. And that's where Suarez and Sanchez, who've been excellent for them this year, they're all of a sudden your number 1 and number 2 going into the playoffs whenever they get there, because Aaron Nola has struggled. Jesus Luzardo is the other who has done a nice job as well. But we, for years, thought of this as Wheeler and Nola, and then who else can they get? And right now, it's the lefties. It's Suarez and Sanchez that are kind of their 2 horses that they are going to need if they're going to pull this thing off come October.
Yeah, it's funny how that has played out. So the Nats starting pitcher on Sunday afternoon was Jake Irvin, and he had another rough outing. He officially allowed 3 runs in 2 1/3 innings. He gave up 6 hits, which were a double and 5 singles. He issued 2 walks. He recorded 2 strikeouts. He threw 69 pitches, 39 strikes, 30 balls. Let's start with this. What did you make of Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo pulling Irvin after just 2 1/3 innings?
I think he felt like it was a lost cause at that point. And I know there are times that they've let Irvin go because the one thing he usually gives them is length. But I think Cairo felt like the bullpen was pretty fresh. Maybe they have a chance at keeping the game close. It worked out because the bullpen was phenomenal. So I think it was the right move to make. That's the shortest start of Jake Irvin's career at 2 1/3. Very uncharacteristic. But look at the performance. I mean, the pitch count was high, but just this is kind of what he's becoming at the moment. His August ERA is 9.55. And like Mitchell Parker, and I cited this stat the other night, I went back and it happens to be the exact same number. His last 21 starts going back to late April. Jake Irvin's ERA for 21 starts is 6.13. That's why I said it's about the top 3 guys in the rotation right now. And the other two guys are not pulling their weight. And I think Miguel Cairo, who is obviously trying to win as many games as he can, is going to have to take that approach as long as Parker and Irvin are still in the rotation. You have a chance to pull them early, you do it, and you hope that the bullpen can get the job done in their place.
I thought that this game was the breaking point for Miguel Cairo with Jake Irvin, because like you said, normally Irvin is allowed to eat up innings and is allowed to try to work his way through giving up runs. And in this game, it was almost like Cairo said, enough is enough. I can't stand this anymore. You're struggling. We don't trust you. We want to try to win this series. I'm getting you out of there. You know, it's one thing when you pull a pitcher after 2 1/3 innings during which the pitcher has given up like 5 or 6 runs. This was not like a blow-up start. It was maybe headed toward being a blow-up start, but it wasn't there yet. And I just thought it so stood out that Cairo pulled Irvin, did not allow him to have the big inning that has been dooming Irvin here lately. He's not going well. There's no doubt about that. Irvin's overall numbers for this regular season, 27 starts, ERA 5.40, third worst ERA among all qualified pitchers in the majors, whip of 1.43, second worst whip among all qualified pitchers in the majors. We detailed the stats for Mitchell Parker on the last installment of the podcast. It's amazing, but it's true. You could argue that 2/5 of the Nats rotation is comprised of the 2 worst qualified pitchers in MLB this season. Like, that's not an exaggeration. Statistically speaking, especially if you're going by ERA and whip, Mitchell Parker and Jake Irvin, you could argue, are the 2 worst pitchers in the majors this season. And right now, it does feel when they pitch, your chances of winning are just so small. It feels that way. And obviously in this series, it played out that way.
Yeah, and as I said, they're now 1-7 as a team in the last 8 starts by those 2 guys, 7-2. The game started by other guys. And let's remember, Trevor Williams pitched a good part of this season as well, and he probably fell into that same category among the worst starting pitchers in baseball. And so that is a real problem. I'm fascinated to see where they go from here. Are they content to just keep putting these 2 guys out there every 5 days or not? I will say this. They have an off day on Thursday after the Yankee series. The big 3, if we're going to call them that now, is starting that series. Parker's next turn would come on the off day. Do they let everybody have the extra day and just go back with Parker and Irvin next weekend? Or would they skip Parker's turn at minimum? One time you do that, you go with Irvin to start the next series against the Rays. You end up bringing Parker back the next time around and go from there, perhaps. It's hard to believe they can just continue without making any changes here. I don't think it's doing either guy any favors to keep trotting them out there. Certainly in Parker's case, you can make more of a case for Irvin because he's got a little more track record and usually does give you some length. In Parker's case, I'm not sure it's helping him at all to keep putting him out there every 5 days.
It's a tough watch. And if, in fact, Cairo has had enough, you wonder if he expresses that to Mike DiBartolo. Maybe Mike DiBartolo has had enough, and maybe we do see some change. We'll see. The Nats bullpen, on the other hand, is surging right now. And yes, I just said that. The Nats bullpen is surging right now. This bullpen, which was so bad for so much of this season, is doing so well. The Nats lost 2 out of 3 games at the Phillies over the weekend, despite Nats relievers in the series officially combining to allow 1 run in 11 2/3 innings. Second consecutive series in which the Nats relief pitching was really good. Nats relievers in the team winning 2 out of 3 games against the New York Mets at Nationals Park this past Tuesday through Thursday combined to allow just 2 runs in 11 1/3 innings. Cannot say enough good things about the bullpen here. Sunday afternoon, 4 Nats relievers officially combined for 5 2/3 scoreless innings. Shinnosue Ogasawara officially tossed 2 2/3 scoreless innings. The nit to pick with the pen is that Ogasawara, in a Phillies 1-run third, issued a 2-out bases loaded walk of the Phillies' number 9 batter, Rafael Marchand, for a 3-0 Phillies lead. Okay, but still, Ogasawara, 2 2/3 shutout innings. Jackson Rutledge tossed a scoreless bottom of the 6th. He did issue a 2-out walk and did then give up a 2-out double, but he then generated a big 3-pitch called strikeout of the Phillies' number 4 batter, Alec Boehm. How about Konnor Pilkington, our guy Pilky? Maybe he's back. Well, probably can't say that just yet, but he was great. He tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th with 3 swinging strikeouts, and Clayton Beeter tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th. Ogasawara, Rutledge, Pilkington, and Beeter. Not exactly, Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, and Randy Myers. Not exactly the nasty boys of the 1990 Cincinnati Reds, but hey, it worked. Ogasawara, Rutledge, Pilkington, and Beeter, 5 2/3 scoreless innings officially in this game.
Just like they drew it up. We knew that was going to be the foursome all along, right? That if you want to keep a game close, those are your 4 guys to do it, right? Maybe not, but I give so much credit to this group as a whole. They've been taking a pounding, both on the field and, publicly. They know what the stats say. Everywhere they go, that's the storyline. Oh my God, the Nats bullpen is the worst in baseball. They have come together here in the last few weeks and essentially said, you know what? Who cares? Let's just go out and do the best we can. Nothing to lose at this point. And I give them a lot of credit for that. They have pretty much across the board all pitched well. They've all had to pitch in situations of some consequence. When they need length, they get length from a guy like Ogasawara. When they need a quick 1-2-3 inning, they've been getting that too. We know that Ferrer at the back end has been lights out and taking over the closer's role. I think at some point, these guys are saying, hey, this is our own personal pride at stake here. Like, we don't want to be associated with the worst bullpen in baseball. And selfishly, they're probably all thinking, this might be my last chance at sticking in the big leagues if they don't get something done here over the rest of the season. So props to them. They have done a really nice job against some obviously very good teams that they've had to face. And they've more than held their own. And what they've done is either closed out games that they were ahead, or they've kept games close to give their lineup a chance late, as we saw the last two nights in Philadelphia.
So it's funny, we talked about the 2017 Nats earlier. The 2017 Nats had a horrible bullpen that as the season went on got better, but it got better because of in-season trades. In this case, you're talking about improvement from within in terms of the bullpen being better. Now, I do think we need to see more of the bullpen being better before we declare it fixed or like appreciably better. But right now, it is so much better than it was earlier in the year. And I think that would be a wonderful positive to the season if, in fact, this happens. You know, in this season of so many bad things going down, if what was clearly the number one negative early in the season, the bullpen, somehow ended up being a strength as the season went on, that would be a nice thing to be able to say. And maybe, just maybe, it would be indicative of the team having found some guys as relievers moving forward. We'll see. But right now, the bullpen is a strength. Over the last few weeks, you could make a very compelling case. The bullpen is the number one strength for this team, more so than the starting pitching, more so than the offense.
Yeah, as an entire group, I'd say the three good starting pitchers have probably been the most encouraging thing. But you're right, as an entire unit, it has been the bullpen. Whatever the numbers end up being at the end, what I would say is I think the goal needs to be, or the hope would be, you get to the end and you've identified 3 or 4 at least, hopefully more than that, but at least 3 or 4 guys that you say, yes, this is somebody who should be a part of the plan moving forward. You can't build an entire bullpen from scratch, which is what they were potentially looking at doing. If they get to the end of this and they say Ferrer, Henry, Poulin, Beater, maybe Ogasawara, maybe Pilkington, if enough of them can show enough to say, yes, I should be a part of this, it takes a lot of pressure off the GM this winter. Yes, they've still got to address this. They've got to bring in some guys with some experience, and more than that, they just need to bring in guys who can get the job done. But if you're only having to build half a bullpen instead of an entire bullpen this winter, that's a much better position to be in, because there have been points this summer that you thought to yourself, they're going to have to build an entire bullpen from scratch this winter.
Yeah, and they need more optionable arms. They need more flexibility with the bullpen. We've talked about that. I think that absolutely has to be a goal for this coming off season.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing checking in. Got a break in between team meetings? Sounds like the perfect time for some fast-paced fun at Chumba Casino. No waiting, just instant action to keep you going. So next time you need a pick-me-up, fire it up and take a spin. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba!
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
It'll be a 3-2. It's on the way. Swinging a fly ball golf to right, deep toward the corner, sending Garrett to the warning track. He leaps at the wall. Can't get it. The ball is gone. Garrett slams into the fence, and he's down. Home run for LeMahieu makes it 7-0, but now the concern is for Garrett, who is rolling over in agony after slamming into the fence trying to rob LeMahieu.
So next up for the Nats is a 3-game series at the New York Yankees, and the Nats in this series have going for them their 3 best starting pitchers right now. Game 1 Monday night at 7:05, Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2 Tuesday night at 7:05, Mackenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3 Wednesday afternoon at 1:05, Cade Cavalli will be the Nats starting pitcher. You know, you actually could argue that Gore is doing the worst of the 3 right now. Mackenzie Gore, in 5 of his last 7 starts, has been off to at least some degree. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how he does in this game. But I'm really interested to see how the Nats do in this series. If ever they're going to do well in a series at Yankee Stadium, they're positioned to do that with their 3 best starting pitchers right now going for them in Lord, Gore, and Cavalli. So this could be fun.
And the Yankees kind of reel in themselves. We're recording this before Sunday Night Baseball against the Red Sox. They're in danger of being swept by their arch rivals. As you know, the moment anything goes south in the Bronx, it becomes a major deal there more than almost anywhere else in the world. And so if they do end up getting swept and the Nats come in, momentum on their side, I will be very interested to see how they handle that. Look, they handled Philadelphia fine. I know they lost 2 out of 3, but it wasn't for a lack of effort or for, you know, these weren't uncompetitive games at all. They were right there in it and did pull off a great comeback in the opener. Yankee Stadium, to me, is not as intimidating as this right now. It's more sterile. The team isn't playing as well. Weeknight games, probably not sellouts. It's a different kind of crowd I think they get at the new Yankee Stadium versus the old one. If I'm the Nationals, I don't think I'm intimidated at all going in there. I'll really be interested to see how they do perform in there. But I think based on what they did in Philadelphia, I think this series was the tougher of the 2. So go out there, nothing to lose, and see if you can win another series against a good team.
Well, the Nats, like you said, have nothing to lose. The Nats have been better on the road this season as compared to at home. So, why not? I mean, so far, the Nats are showing themselves pretty well in this stretch of games against the Phillies and Mets. So, why not keep it going in a series at the Yankees? By the way, I had this thought. This might seem kind of random, but the Nats are playing a series at the Yankees nearly 2 years to the day of that awful Stone Garrett injury that was suffered at the Yankees. And I remember that because it happened on my son's birthday. August 23rd, 2023 was when Garrett suffered that serious injury in what was a 9-1 Nats loss at the Yankees. And in a quirk of the schedule, here we are 2 years later, and the Nats are back playing a series at a team that, of course, the Nats don't face often in the Yankees. And it's a 3-game set for the Nats at the Yankees coming up. That was some injury. I'll never forget that. That might be the worst in-game injury a Nats player has suffered, just from a standpoint of how it looked and what it ended up being. That was horrible what happened to Garrett in that game. Crashing into the wall, landing on the warning track, was rolling in pain. He caught his lower left leg in that outfield wall. His cleat left a mark on the wall. I'll never forget that. That was pretty gruesome. So hopefully Stone Garrett's doing well.
He is. He's back in the States. He was playing in Korea for a while, and he came back home, and he's in Houston at last check. I think he maybe even come to one of the Nats games against the Astros earlier this summer. The 2 injuries that always stand out to me, that one and then Nick Johnson breaking his leg when Austin Kearns collided with him at Shea Stadium. Something about New York, this happens. That was all the way back at the end of 2006 when Nick Johnson broke his leg. Those are the 2 that's always stood out to me. That series, that week of the Garrett injury, there was so much going on. They played the Williamsport game on Sunday night and beat the Phillies. They were feeling good about themselves, playing their best ball since the rebuild began. Then they have a day off in New York in which they give Davey Martinez a contract extension. We get to New York, Stone Garrett breaks his leg, and then the day after, the word gets out that Steven Strasburg is retiring. That was an eventful week for this team in both good and bad ways. A lot happened there. It is strange that they're coming back. And by the way, happy birthday to Al's son. My son's birthday is coming up this weekend as well, on the 29th.
Yeah, my son just turned 8. My daughter just turned 5. We did a dual pool party for them on Saturday. We did not plan it so that each had a birthday in late August. It just worked out that way. I don't know why. I'm not sure that I want to know why, but yeah, we do the dual birthday party every year.
There will be nothing you do professionally all year more challenging than a dual pool party for an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. Kudos to you.
It was 2 hours. It felt like about 20 hours. So, I'm not going to disagree with what you just said. Well, regarding all that Nats news that happened in August 2023, I feel like we've had our fill of major Nats news this season. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but I don't know what else there is left to happen at this point in terms of big news that could happen. Like, you never know, right? You don't know what you don't know, but it feels like the biggest things have already taken place. So
save this clip, Tim. I hope we don't have to re-air it again before the end of the season.
You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website you can check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
3-2. Eli again sprays a base hit up the middle. It's a 4-game hit streak for number 1 overall to start his pro career. Hit a line drive through the pitcher's face. That's another line drive left center field. Luke Dickerson sends it to the wall, and this will be run number 1. Look at Eli Willits fly around third. Here comes Dickerson to third. It's an RBI triple.
Bubba Wallace here with Tyler Reddick. You know what's more nerve-wracking than waiting for qualifying results?
Waiting for the green flag to drop.
Instead of pacing, you rev up with Chumba Casino's weekly new releases.
It's like a fresh set of tires for your brain.
Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21+. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.